got to keep the muscle guessing. You got, you got to surprise it. It doesn't know what's happening. And the more we confuse it, the more you're going to get results. No.
Let me ask you this. Does your muscle have a brain? Does it even have the capacity to be confused?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Strong, Well-Fed, and Outspoken. I am Rusty, aka Coach Frizzle, aka the Miss Frizzle of Fitness. Took me there a second there to remember my name. And joining us today, as always, is our girl.
What's up, guys? It's Coach Alana Nell. We're dropping the Alana. We're keeping the Nell because it flows better. And in an effort to remember our names, because it's a tough morning out here sometimes for a girl in the fitness world, we want to keep it short and sweet, which is not our forte.
Yeah, literally not our forte at all. It has been.
That's why we have to keep this short and sweet names, because that's all we've got going for us. It's short and sweet.
Yeah, literally, especially this morning. It has been a morning for us. It's been a beautiful morning, but like a morning.
Yeah, we're blessed to be this stressed, really. Like, when technology doesn't work, you appreciate what you have. So start your day with some thankfulness. Start your day with some blessings, homies, because it's going to be a good day.
It is. It is. Actually, you know what's super interesting? So this time of year, right, obviously is like the fall. I'm still using the Jeep. If you guys don't know, I have this like old 1991 green Jeep. The best thing about it is that it's sparkly.
Yeah, what's its name? That's what's the important thing here.
Mr. Sparkle, bitch. It's literally called Mr. Sparkle. And it is epic. It is my daily driver as long as I can. As soon as the weather gets warm enough, like I will literally be out there in a sweater, but also as it gets cold. Most mornings, it's pretty cold here still now, but I'm like bundled up and going. Anyways, the way like we have a lot of cars because my man is like big into cars. Anyways, his truck was parked behind me the one morning, so I had to move it out to get Mr. Sparkle out. But I don't know if you guys have ever had a spider bite. Okay, so I'm moving his truck out, and it's his work truck, so it's like disgusting. So of course there are friggin' spiders in here. But I didn't even know until all of a sudden I had this like massive pain in my chest, and I'm like, is this like a bee sting? Like, there's no way this is a bee sting. I'm like, this is the most painful mosquito bite I've ever had. Anyways, it disappeared. The pain disappeared in like 10 minutes, but 24 hours later, it like swelled up huge and it was so itchy. Have you ever had a spider bite?
I have not, but I do have a motorcycle. I was actually just thinking when you're still riding your Jeep, I had to put my motorcycle away for the year. And I imagine it feels like when you're riding with your visor up and a bug flies and it just like, it hits you like a lawn dart or like someone's playing darts with your face. I've never experienced the after effect of it though.
Yeah, no, this, again, I didn't think anything of it until the next day because that's how long it took. And then, of course, I did the thing I always say never to do. And like, I went on Google to look up what this was.
Yes, never doctor Google your symptoms. No.
And it did tell me correctly that it was a spider bite. But then, like, did you know that there's like 20 different types of spider bites you can get? And like, some are really severe. Like, they were like, if it doesn't go down in the next like 24 hours, you have to go to the doctor. Like, your blood can get poisoned. I'm like, what is
Dang.
happening? Yeah, super intense. And actually like the itchiest, like mosquito bites, nothing compared to how itchy this was. I had to put like an ice pack. It was wild.
And I think that's why I live where it's so cold because I'm afraid of spider bites.
My week. That's good old seasonal changes underway. As I was heading to the gym. Anyways, thankfully it didn't swell up while I was there because the gains are waiting for no one, which is kind of the topic of our conversation, guys. This is our part 2 from last week's episode. So last week we talked about 5 reasons you're not making progress in the gym when it comes to...
in your health, in your...
Oh, sorry. Yeah. See,
in your fitness. Is that what we called it?
Yeah. Why you're
training.
Not progress. Yeah. With your, like just period. Why you're not making progress, but when it comes to food, I can't talk at all this morning. When it comes to your nutrition, the kitchen, tracking mistakes, habit mistakes that are all about food. So this is definitely worth it to probably listen to both of these because I guarantee you, if you're truly feeling like you are not making progress, there's probably something happening both food related, and training related. But today
Mhm.
is specifically going to be 5 reasons you're not making progress when it comes to your training and what's
Training,
probably
correct.
going on there. So, first thing I actually really want to say is if you feel like you're not making progress, it's probably because somewhere you have this idea of what's right and what's wrong,
Mhm.
or like what's working versus what's not working.
Yeah, because
Uh,
we talked about this in our food or eating episode too. This having this preconceived notion of good and bad or
yep,
healthy and unhealthy. The same is true here, right? When you
yep.
feel like you're not making progress, what is that preconceived notion of progress?
Exactly. Yeah. And when we're talking about something not is like not working, right? If you guys are listening to this and you're like, yep, this is me, there's something in my training that's not working. I want you guys to first get like really clear on what metric we're talking about in terms of like what is not working. Is it that you're trying to see your body weight go down and it's not going down? Is it that you're trying to get your appearance to change and it's not changing? Because those are two very different things. Are your numbers not going up in terms of your lifts? Are you not getting stronger? What is the metric here? You need to be able to identify that so that we can likely start to identify like, okay, well, if it is body weight related, if it is strength related, then that could be a different reason in terms of like what is happening or what's not happening. So therefore why you're not seeing progress in that area.
Yeah, and adding to that, what is your time frame that you've been
Um,
tracking your
Other
metrics? That's
thing
important
here
too.
to think about is like what's the time frame? So did we just freeze? I feel like we
I
just
think we froze and said the exact same thing.
okay, yeah, because
So,
on my end I'm like, oh, I think she's frozen. I'm gonna just keep talking.
and I had just finished talking about time frame and then it started on my end. So we'll see. Maybe when we edit this, we'll have a great option.
Yeah, this might be the best episode yet. But yeah, other thing to consider here, guys, is like what time frame we're talking about, right? Many of you, I love y'all bitches, but many of you will come to coaches like us and say, I'm not seeing progress. And it's been like 3 weeks. Baby,
Hmm.
you need to work with longer runways. Nobody that you guys look up to ever accomplished their goals in a matter of 3 weeks or 6 weeks or honestly 8 weeks. Don't
No,
be
the
ashamed.
minimum time I will agree to work with someone is 16 weeks minimum.
Yep. Yep. There we have minimums with people because it takes time. And like don't show us somebody's massive transformation in 8 weeks from a New Year's challenge because I would almost bet money that that same person probably had to re-enter the challenge again next year because those results weren't sustainable. I don't
Or
know.
that timeline is being lied about, right? Like I have
Yeah.
great side by side transformations, 5 years.
Yeah.
But I could
Honestly
pop
though,
them up there and be like, look at me, 21 days to the beach or whatever.
yeah, I could be out here telling you guys anything that would get me to make more sales, but we're just not about that life. And
Nope.
also, I don't know who told you guys that slow and steady and sustainable wasn't hot, but baby, it is. If those results
That's
last,
sexy. Slow, sustainable, and sexy.
yeah, yeah, honestly, there you go. As Justin Timberlake said. So, what is the time frame that we're talking about? Which kind of brings us to our very first point, which is that a lot of people ask, how long should I follow a workout program? And a lot of people ask this because majority of people want to change their plan way sooner than they need to. And changing your program too fast is one of the biggest reasons why you are not going to see progress. I think it's
Mhm.
probably something we were both guilty of in early on in our fitness. Do you remember like the fastest you ever like were on a plan, like the fastest you ever switched over?
Yeah, so I did early on, I did a lot of like 21-day challenges,
Oh,
30-day
yeah.
challenges, or like these never miss a workout, but no workout was ever a repeat,
Yes.
ever.
Yeah. Yeah. They
And then
always.
I was flighty, right? I was a competitive swimmer. I was swimming a lot. And so I would jump from one thing to the next. It was like, oh, well, I'm doing swim workouts this week, and then I'm gonna lift weights this week, and then my schedule's too busy, so I'm back to swimming, right? So there was never this continuation.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What
I
about you?
literally
What was your Quick change.
Yeah, I remember being on programs for like 4, maybe 6 weeks, and then being like, "Oh, I got to change it up." Because do you guys remember when I mean, I still see people talking about it, but like muscle confusion,
Oh
using
yes,
the air quotes
3 weeks
there.
for me. That's what that was.
Yep. Muscle confusion, you got to keep the muscle guessing. You got, you got to surprise it. It doesn't know what's happening. And the more we confuse it, the more you're going to get results.
Let
No,
me ask
bitch.
you this. Does your muscle have a brain? Does it even have the capacity to be confused?
Yeah, 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 totally. It's one of those things though, right? Like at its core, you guys, when we talk about a training program, if it is a well-designed training program, nobody out there is mastering a well-designed training program within 4 weeks. Okay. Even the most advanced lifters, even people that have been lifting for years and years, and I'm going to put myself in this category, it will take you 2, maybe 3 weeks just to get comfortable with the new program. The layout, the rep schemes, if you've got tempos in there, how many sets are you doing? Are you using warm-up sets and back down sets? Because then figuring out what your top set numbers versus warm-up and back down set numbers will be based off this program design in and of itself is going to take longer than a couple of weeks for you to master.
And I can tell you right now, I continuously review my program weeks and weeks and weeks into it to make sure that I'm not missing a small piece of technique or
Yeah.
a error in setup or things like that. So even though I have kind of a wait window that I am needing to work in, am I setting it up correctly? Am I far enough away from the machine? Am I holding myself incorrectly? Right?
Yep.
Because I don't retain information well. And so I need that constant reminder. And I'm talking like week, I don't know, 28. I'm still looking it up before I go and do it.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. I always say to people, a great hierarchy here is like weeks 1 to 4 is you mastering the flow of the program, is you really
Yes.
adapting to it, understanding how things look, understanding the flow, again, all of that good stuff. Weeks 4 to 8 of a program, now you're comfortable. Now is when we really start to master the movements and we really start to get into a position where you're more comfortable to push. And then, a program, it really depends on what it is you're working on. For a lot of power lifters, right? Like, yeah, we might be switching the program 8 weeks in. When we're talking about hypertrophy style training, you're probably running a program anywhere from 8 to 16 weeks. So
But
if
I
that is,
think too, it's important to note that even if we are technically switching a program, I'm using air quotes here, we're not completely rewriting the program, right? We're just advancing the current step that you're in.
yeah, yeah, for the most part, when we're talking about like powerlifting and stuff like that, yeah, it's not usually like a completely new program, but from weeks 4 to 8, right, you're more comfortable, so you're starting to push a little bit more. It's largely going to be form based, tempo based, tension based, control based, and then after 6 weeks, 8 weeks in, you're really pushing. You're progressive
Mhm.
overloading. You're training till failure. You're giving everything you have because yeah, you've got your notes that you're checking up on, but you're good with the plan. That is an overall hierarchy. So if you're going into a plan thinking, oh, I'm changing it in 4 weeks, I can guarantee you have not even tapped into the potential of what that program can provide for you. And again, people changing their program too fast is one of the biggest reasons why they are not seeing progress within that program. Um, Now, with that being said, right, as I kind of touched on there, after 6 weeks in, after 8 weeks in, we're training to failure. We're pushing hard. We're increasing our weights. We are progressive overloading, which kind of brings us to point number 2. If you are not progressive overloading your workouts in some capacity, well, one, first of all, baby, you are probably bored, which is also why you want to start to change your plan, right? A lot of us will mentally feel like we're ready for a new plan before we are physically ready for one. So keeping us not only mentally more engaged and locked in, but also literally challenging our body more, challenging our strength more, our potential for gains and progress comes from progressive overload. And if you're
Mhm.
not progressive overloading, you're probably not seeing much progress. But there's a million different ways to progressive overload, and this is something we're going to get into in full on its own, because a lot of people tend to like. What's the most common form of progressive overload that you hear of, girl?
Yeah, so I think when like someone says progressive overload, we think more, right?
Mm.
And the first thing we think of is more weight, right? Because that
Yes.
sounds like overload. Like it sounds like we need to do something heavier.
Yeah.
And it's the easiest one to mentally prepare for, I think, right? Because you're like, I want to be stronger, I'll pick up heavier, right? So
Yeah, totally.
that's
I'll lift as much
probably
weight
the
as I
one
can.
that everybody thinks of, right?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Progressive
Guilty, for
overload.
sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, even when I think back to when I first started progressive overloading, I was in that boat where I was like, okay, overload. So I got to do more. I have to lift heavier weight. But there are a ton of different ways to progressive overload. The concept of progressive overload in and of itself, I mean, on one hand, yes, it does technically mean more, right? But more doesn't necessarily mean more weight. So some ones you guys have probably heard of, right? Is that yes, you could lift more weight. You could also lift more reps at the same weight. You could lift more weight and more reps. You could do more in terms of controlling your, like creating more tension. And we can
Yes.
create more tension by slowing down our tempo and adding hard pauses. We can literally do more by, extending how long a muscle is under load, which would be tempo style
Tempo work.
training.
Yeah.
We can also progressive overload by actually supersetting certain exercises is a form of progressive overload,
Yeah. So
depending.
just so you guys know, supersetting is doing two exercises back to back with no
Mhm.
rest in between.
Exactly. Yeah. So, especially when we're talking about like compound style supersets, which is now training the same muscle group in two different exercises. Again, there's a ton of different ways you can be progressive overloading here. The problem is most people aren't doing any of these. So
And
I
here's
think,
one that I think a lot of people miss, and I'm currently going to die on this hill, I'm sure. But
yeah.
another form of progressive overload is improving your technique,
Mm,
practicing your skill, right?
yes,
So a lot
yes.
of the improvements I've had are not from putting more weight on the bar or from picking up heavier weights. It's from reducing weight and spending more time making
Yep.
sure that I am doing it exactly where it needs to be felt in the body, right?
Yep.
And it does play into tempo and things like that. Because if you can't slow the movement down and control it and still have a good, strong lift,
Hmm.
you're not going to
Hmm.
be able to progressive overload with weight or with more reps because your technique is garbage. Um,
Yes.
so
Yep.
practice, perfect your technique. That is still progressive overload.
100%. I'm ashamed of myself for not even actually mentioning that one in my
This is why we
previous.
co-host because we
Yeah.
just lift each other up, just like we're lifting up the rest of the strong, well-fed, and outspoken community.
Yeah, totally. So, form is absolutely a huge one. Um, it really is. It will make a huge difference. And so, for a lot of you guys out there, okay, one, you're either following a program that doesn't have any form of progressive overload in it, which is a bit of a red flag. Or two, you might actually be following a programs like what are some popular ones out there? Um, like
Great
beach,
question.
like
Beachbody, I mean, yeah, like Body or whatever they were now, their programs don't typically have progressive overload. I mean, I don't know anything recent, but it
Mhm.
was typically, pick up light to medium weights. You'll see this in a lot of group classes too. Pick up light to medium or medium to heavy. What does that mean?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And you have no way of determining that ahead of time.
Yes, absolutely. No, so if you're following a program, right, that's only ever has you doing, let's say, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 8, 4 sets of 12. Can you progressive overload within that? Yes, but it's likely not going to happen to the degree that is going to encourage you to do so. If you're following things like, Beachbody, where there's a different workout every day, there's a different workout every week. I don't want you guys to get the impression that, like, if you're following Beachbody, we're not trying to rain on your parade.
No, and
Okay.
moving your body is so important in any way. So if that's your goal, great. But in
Yeah.
terms of progressive overload, this is where there is a gap, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Something is always going to be better than nothing. And if you found something you love, then that's fantastic. But we also want to remember that if you found something you love, but at the same time, you're making statements like, I'm not seeing more progress, then we have to get real here,
Yes, because
right?
remember, today's topic is why we're not seeing progress in our training.
Exactly. So, a lot of people can see amazing results with doing classes at local gyms or Beachbody or things like that. But a lot of these classes are not designed, again, to have you increasing tension, increasing weight, increasing control, learning better form, progressive overloading. And if you're not progressive overloading in some capacity, then you are not going to see progress. So be very cautious of that with the program you're following. When you're in the gym, when was the last time you did say to yourself, oh, I've been doing, 10-pound lateral raises for the last several weeks. Can I actually do 12 and a half? Or can I maybe add 3 reps? Or can I maybe add a pause to the top of every single one of my reps to increase tension? Or can I do my 10 reps because that's literally, or my 10 pounds at 12 reps or 15 reps or whatever it is, that is the most I can do. But now I'm actually going to drop set it, which is a form of progressive overload, or I'm going to superset it. When was the last time you actually put mental thought and effort into your workout to find the way that you could challenge yourself that you're not currently doing it? Because
yes, because of fear limits a lot of people, right? I don't know if I could. Have you tried?
Yeah.
I'm going to use my 5s or my 8-pound dumbbells because that's what I have at home.
Yep.
Great. But are you stopping yourself because someone wrote down 10 reps on whatever you're using? Or have you squeezed out an 11 or a 12, or like you said, a pause or some more tempo, slowing it down?
Yep. You guys have to remember there's a difference between showing up and putting in work. You can show up. Yeah, you can show up all you want. But if you're not putting in work, and putting in work requires mental effort. So if you're not putting in work, you're not seeing progress.
And I'll tell you something right now. On the days where I do feel like I'm just showing up, those are the days where I'm like, you have nothing to lose. Yeah. Pick up something heavier, slow it down. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to have to set that weight down. Those are the days when I show up and I'm like, I am struggling. I don't think I have it in me. Those are the days where I look myself in the mirror before I go to the gym and I go, okay, what do you have to lose? Try something more, right? Exactly. And just flip that narrative, right?
Exactly. Yep. So that kind of brings us to our next point as well, which is that, for a lot of people, they are doing more volume. Their volume is really, really high, but their effectiveness is really, really low. So, again, right, when we talk about volume, so volume can be how much weight you're lifting. It can be how many reps you're lifting that weight for. It can be a combination, right, of reps, sets, everything. But again, you could be doing all the volume in the world, but if the effectiveness of those reps of that weight is not there, your results are going to be low.
Yeah, because you can think of volume as like the amount of work done in a single workout.
Yep, absolutely. And then, we can look, right, so that would be based off of we can look at it on a micro, am I going to get these wrong? A micro, a macro. What's the even bigger than macro? I know.
There's another one?
A meso?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't even think about it right now. But we can.
It's definitely micro is smaller, and then macro is bigger, and then there's a bigger one. Well, I learned something new today.
There definitely is. Brain fog to the max. But anyways, on a very small scale, it would be how much, total, again, you're lifting within a certain exercise. Then it would be for that workout. So a little bit bigger based off that entire day. But then we can also look at it based off of that entire week, or that entire body part, right? So in order to, again, see a good amount of progress here, you cannot just be in the gym doing everything. And this is
it's meso, because mesocycle when we're programming. Yes. Meso, yeah.
There we go.
See, it comes eventually.
We got it. You guys have probably seen a lot of people talk about like, oh, you shouldn't be doing more than 6 exercises or 5 exercises in a workout. And the baseline point here is correct because so many people, again, they are doing 9, 10, 11, 12 exercises. Your volume is insanely high, but guess what? You're not seeing results great still because your effectiveness is low. Whereas if we reduce that overall volume and we make sure that your program is designed really well so that you're lifting more, you're progressive overloading, your form is really good, you're mentally locked in, you're connected, then guess what? Your volume is lower, but your effectiveness is way higher, and so is your progress.
Yeah, I actually was just working with an athlete where we were going through this. She was preparing for a test that she needed to do physical standards for work. And she was very familiar with lifting in a certain rep scheme, right? And I changed up the volume of her programming, and I had to sell her on it, right? Because she was very
Yeah,
hesitant because you know what you know and you're confident there, right? And she came back to me and she said, I actually was able to push so much harder
yeah,
because I wasn't constantly in the back of my mind thinking I have to save in the tank for the next thing coming,
yeah.
right? And so because she had let go of that
Huge.
belief
That's
and that
huge.
she was able to progress hugely in a shorter period of time because
Yep.
she wasn't limiting herself anymore.
Yep. And then let's also talk about the like mental aspect of that and how much more confident she would now feel
A
and
hundred percent.
how much more she'd probably be looking forward to her workouts, knowing that like, holy, I now have this whole other potential for progress I didn't even realize
Yes,
before.
you begin to feel more and more like a badass. You begin
Yep.
to act more and more like a badass, and then you become that badass all the time.
Honestly, though, honestly. So, yes, how effective are your workouts? Like we said, there's a difference between showing up, there's a difference between putting in work. You need to
Yeah,
put
think
in
about it
work.
like this, right? You get invited to a social gathering, you don't really want to go, so you go, and then you're kind of just bumming everybody out. Or you decide you want to go, you're having a great time, you're laughing, you're killing it, you're the life of the party. It's the same thing in your workouts.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you the life of the party, aka are you putting the damn effort in and killing it, or are you just showing up?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Don't rain on my parade, bitch.
Mm.
Yeah. And then, all of these points, right? Of course, they seem obvious because we're talking about getting training progress. So, of course, what am I doing in the gym that's not working for me? But what are you doing outside of the gym that's not
Hmm.
working for you? Okay. For many people, you are associating your fitness, your progress, your results with what happens within the four walls of a gym, whether that gym is your basement at home or your garage or an actual gym you go to. There are four walls, and you are associating what you do there with the progress that you see.
Yeah, the
But
20 minutes to 2 hours you spend working out
yep,
is not
it is
all
way
you
smaller than
do.
you guys think it is. Yeah. Yeah. It is when we talk about like what has the potential to have you seeing progress. Okay, let's literally talk about this. There is there's a term known as your total daily energy expenditure, right? Or your TDEE. And it basically accounts for all of the calories you are burning in a day. Now, we're not going
Hmm.
to go down the rabbit hole of like, you need to start monitoring how many calories you burn in a day because that is not the thing that's going to help you see more progress. And we both are of the mindset that like, you don't need to be tracking your calories burned. But the idea behind TDEE is to help you realize that majority of what your body does burn throughout a day doesn't actually occur during your workout. Doesn't actually
Right.
come from the four walls within it that make up a gym or your home gym or whatever it is.
Yeah, the amount of
So
times you spend picking up weights every day, essentially, right?
yeah, yeah. So when we look at your TDEE, it's made up of four components. So first component, you want to rock this one out?
Yeah, are we talking about like your basal metabolic rates?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so these four become something called your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, right? The way you're burning your energy outside of your workout. And so the biggest grouping here is your basal metabolic rate. And that's basically the energy you're burning while your body's at rest.
Hmm.
And it's what did we decide? 65 to 75% of the energy you're burning is from your basal metabolic rate or your BMR.
Yeah, yeah. It caps out around like 70%.
Yeah.
So think of your BMR as like everything that's unintentional that like you don't even control. So it's your body's ability, it's your heart beating, it's you blinking,
Yeah,
it's
it's
your
us sitting here chatting right now. It's the energy we're using just to be here
be
with you
alive.
guys.
Yeah, your body performing all of its needs, everything. Your lungs inflating and deflating.
Yeah.
That is,
Breathing,
yep,
living, blinking, moving.
yeah, that is 70%, up to about 70% of how many calories you burn in a day.
Mhm.
Then we have actually, so your NEAT. So that would be your non-exercise activity. So your NEAT you can think about it in terms of, it is still intentional, but it's not necessarily intentional in the way that we decide, oh, I'm going to the gym from 7 to 9 a.m. or from 5 to 7 p.m. or whatever it is. So your non-exercise activity, right? This would be parking further away potentially at the grocery store, walking into the store, things like that, right? It's you
doing physical labor, things like yard work, gardening, playing with the kids at the park, basically anything that's not you at rest.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. So that's your non-exercise activity. Okay. And that's going to take up anywhere from like, is roughly
15-ish?
around 15%. Yeah, 15% of how many calories you burn in a day. Then we have something called your TEF, so the thermic effect of your food. Now, for those of you that don't know, every time we eat, there's going to be calorie burning involved, right? Your body's literally breaking that food down. You have digestive enzymes.
Yeah, we know that digestion breaks food down, but it actually requires energy to do that, right?
Yeah. So the digestion process in and of itself is going to burn calories. This is where you guys have probably heard like people say like, oh, you burn more calories eating celery than what's in the celery itself. Because
right. Yes.
this comes down to, it's the effort to chew it and then your body digesting it versus.
Yeah. Well, this is like grade 9 science. So if you haven't taken grade 9 science yet, right, but we're talking about the process of food entering your mouth, being chewed, and then going through your digestive tract so that nutrients can be absorbed. The calories you burn in that process.
Right. Yeah. So the thermic effect of your food. So, some random facts here. One of the reasons why we love protein so much is it's one of the highest, it has one of the highest thermic effects, which means that your body burns quite a bit of calories when you do ingest protein. Kind of a little trick here, for a lot of people when they are losing weight or focused on body fat loss, or even just wanting to change their body composition without necessarily tracking everything. You start eating more protein. Not only is it going to make a difference, right, to your actual composition, but we wind up burning more calories through just consuming more protein alone. Mm-hmm. But that takes up about 10% of your total daily calories. And then the last thing at a whopping 5% is
your EAT, your exercise activity thermogenesis, right? I think I actually stated incorrectly that all of these together were your NEAT. They're not. Your NEAT is in the middle. Ignore what I said earlier.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I caught you, but yeah, we got it. Your exercise activity, 5%, you guys. The problem here is that people put so much emphasis, okay? To the point that like you go to the gym, you work out, for an hour, you work out for 2 hours, and then if you're sitting all day for the rest of the day, you choose to not do anything else, you're kind of missing the point. You're missing
this was me, truly. This was a big shift in when I started to gain weight, is I was working out at the time. I was teaching group fitness classes at the time, but I went from being on my feet at my job to behind a desk at my job. And that was the thing that changed. And it was a drastic change in my actual like NEAT activity, in the non-exercise stuff. And I didn't realize that at the time. I had no idea. I didn't understand because I was still working out. I was still teaching classes, but I literally went from standing and walking and being on my feet for 6 to 8 hours of a day to behind a desk doing nothing.
Yeah. This is a huge one. This is a big reality check for a lot of you guys. Okay.
And as adults, most of us do slow down. We do end up behind a desk or sitting, as drivers or whatever. That number reduces drastically.
Yeah. And like, you guys can't help where you work. If you work in an office, you have to be there 8 hours a day. But guess what? If during your other time, if during your other spare time, your other free time, if you have the potential to take a 10-minute walk during lunch, if you have the potential to park further away at the grocery store, if you have the potential to do other things that are going to have you moving more throughout life, do it.
Even things that might seem menial and small, like you bring a thermos to your desk, go to the break room, pour yourself a fresh cup of coffee, get up and walk. If your office has an elevator, take the stairs, right? Little things like that make a difference, especially as our activity levels drop.
Oh yeah, they make a big difference.
And if you're
If
not
you're
wrangling 12 children in a car seat, park further away from the door, right? Get a little walk into the store, into the mall, into whatever, right?
Yeah, for sure. If you guys are just focusing on your 2 hours of working out and you're not moving your body in any other way, you are missing the point and you are missing some of the potential progress.
Because
Period.
most of us aren't working out for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're probably working out for 45 minutes to an hour, 3 to 4 times a week. Well,
Mm-hmm.
there's a
Even
lot
5
more
times
hours
a
in a
week,
week,
guys.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Even I know there's a lot of people out there that are working out more than that, 4 or 5 days a week. It doesn't change the point that you need to be moving your body in other ways outside of the gym. Okay. So easy ways to do this are to set an intentional daily step goal and actually stick to it. You don't need to be hopping into 10,000 steps. Okay. This is a very arbitrary number that the world loves
Yes.
to push. Great thing you can do here is start tracking where your steps fall naturally now. Every single smartphone, if you have a smartphone, it will track your steps for you. They all come with their own health app. Most of us carry our phone on us 24/7. So make sure that that's open and launched. Have it track your steps for the next couple of days and see where they are. If you're averaging 3,000 steps a day right now, okay, bump it to 6,000. If you're averaging 5,000 steps a day right now, bump it to 8,000. Start with that. Make that a non-negotiable in your life. And that might, or not even might, you want to be honest, that will require you to be intentional about going for some specific walks. But the idea here is that you will also start to realize, like, oh, I've got a daily step goal. Okay, well, I am going to take the stairs instead of the escalator. I am going to park further away now because it's all going to add up to making sure I hit my daily step
And
goal.
it's going to add up so that you're not hitting that end of the day wall and you want to go into bed and you feel disappointed because you haven't met that step goal. But
Yeah,
remember last week when we were talking about marketing and how marketing basically lies about food packaging and things like that? That's actually where that 10,000 step goal came from. That
yeah.
number was from a marketing company and they called their step meter or step counter 10,000 steps. And that's where that number has come from. And it stuck
Crazy. I did
around.
not know
Yeah, it's
that.
a Japanese.
Wow.
I'm gonna butcher this. I'm sorry if you speak Japanese. Manpo Kai Ki. I don't know, but yeah, it
Huh.
was a step counter, and that's what it translates to in English.
Wow, that's so interesting. That is so
See,
interesting.
and this is why you might not be making progress because we talked about marketing and food labels in last week's episode. Here
Yep.
we are again in a different facet, right? In a step goal facet, and we're getting into that same sort of like, this is why you have to do it. And that's not true. We just want to see an overall increase in your activity levels.
Yes, exactly,
Because
exactly.
I work out hard. I go to the gym for a long time, and my step goal is not as high as people think it is.
Yeah, me
But I
neither.
had to actively work to keep it at that point, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing at the end of the day too, guys, right? Consistency is everything. It's everything. You want to make it realistic for you. This is why track your steps now. 3,000, go to 6,000. You're at 5,000, jump to 7,500. You're at 8,000, sure, you could go up to 10,000. You're
Or
you're
alternatively, set a time goal, right? I'm not great with, and this is why this deters me, and it sounds stupid, but I have two little dogs, and so when I walk them, I have to hold their leashes, and then my step counter doesn't count.
That's
So for
hilarious.
me, a 10 minutes walk goal worked really well. I'm going to
Yeah.
actively be out and walking for 10 minutes. I don't actually care what the step number is. I just know it's more than what I was doing, right?
Yeah.
So find what works for you.
Yes, which brings us to our last point. You guys need to be following what works for you. You have no business following
Mm-mm.
your favorite influencers' workout.
Even if your
on-
influencer is knowledgeable, right? Like you and I are on socials, we
Yeah, yeah.
share our
The
workout information and
influencers.
stuff like that. It might not work for you because I'm going to tell you right now, both of us don't have children.
Hmm.
We don't have a household that we have to make sure, gets out the door in the morning. And so the time we spend in the gym is going to look very different than probably the
Absolutely.
time you spend. The time you spend in the gym looks different than how I spend it in the gym, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
don't just follow an influencer because you like the way they look or you like the things they say. And you're like, well, that's the program I'm doing now.
Yeah, yeah, honestly. If your life does not look like somebody else's life, if your body doesn't look like somebody else's body, if your goals are not their goals, you have no business following what it is that they're doing. period. I get it. It is really inspiring to follow people who are athletes, who do bodybuilding shows, powerlifting, strongman, just even your favorite, mom who posts her workouts every day and absolutely crushes her home workouts. It doesn't matter if your goals are not her goals, if your body isn't her body, if your experience isn't her experience or his or whomever's, you have no business following their plan. Period.
Right. You can take inspiration, you can be inspired and motivated by them, but you are not them. So their plan is not going to work for you.
Yep. And I say this as somebody who literally has a workout app. If you guys did not know this, there will be details below and you can try it out for free for 7 days. I do design programs that are general for people to follow. We're not saying that, a general program won't necessarily work for you because again, a very good general, even a program that is not specifically designed for you, you're looking for something more cost effective, but that works, that's going to have you progressive overloading and seeing progress. You can absolutely follow a more generalized program here, but we're talking about you trying to model somebody's specific program because you think if that's what they do, I'm going to look like that. You are setting yourself up for some massive disappointment, probably also some massive frustration because the plan somebody else follows, they earned. You guys forget that you don't have the right to just follow any type of plan you want. I'm not saying you don't have the right to work out. You don't have the right to attempt it, but your body, you need to build up your fitness level.
You absolutely have the right to work for it, but the right to jump into something that's maybe too advanced or maybe unsuited. Like for me, you've had to program around some of my injuries. There was a while there where Rusty was programming for me and I couldn't do a push-up with my hands in the correct position for what she wanted me to accomplish, right? And so if she had given that to someone else, it wouldn't have worked, right?
I'm like, why am I doing this? Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I was working with an athlete who had broken their pelvis. Their exercises looked very different than a lot of other athletes that I program for. And to be clear, we're not reinventing the wheel when we program. Our programming probably looks very similar across the board because our body moves in the same patterns, right? But I'm not going to have a postpartum mom, right? They've got the clear, they're coming back to exercise. I'm not asking them to go in and back squat 200 pounds. It's not going to work, right? That's what we're talking about here. And sure, maybe I am back squatting 200 pounds and you like the way I look, but it's not going to fit you right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And even outside of the metrics of how much weight you're lifting, right? For some people, again, you don't have any business doing, let's say 20 sets in one workout. You don't. But for other people, they can absolutely manage that. Why can some people manage that and you can't? It doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean that, you're less than. It's that our experience dictates where we're at. Is the same reason why, we go through different grades in school. You don't go from kindergarten to grade 8. You go to grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3 because each of these levels build off of each other and your workout programs have to be the same.
Wait, are we just describing progressive overload in another model?
Yeah, literally. Ding, ding. But it's true, right? Everything is designed to improve and play off of one another so that you can improve and continue to make progress and get to the point where you're telling other people, not from a cocky standpoint, but just I'm sorry, but you can't do the workouts I do. I just got this question actually on a Q&A. Somebody said to me, how much volume do you do? Can you tell us more about your specific workouts? And I won't share them to a full T because I don't want people getting into this mentality and then trying it and feeling like a failure because they can't keep up.
And your volume changes. My volume changes, right? We're not consistently doing the same amount. And I think that's the thing too, right?
Yep.
There is this human nature that needs to come in, this human level, right? Where we're always growing and we're always learning. And so to put a number on something is kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, absolutely. So your workout needs to be designed for you. At the end of the day, if you guys, again, if you're feeling frustrated because you're feeling like you're not seeing progress, and we want you guys to get really clear on what is it that you're not seeing? Again, we want to identify what metric are you not seeing, because once you can identify the metric, you'll be able to kind of pinpoint more specifically, all right, what is it that I'm likely not doing? Once you can get to that root cause, you also need to be real with yourself. How much time am I giving myself? Has it been 4 weeks or 6 weeks? Or have I honestly been here for 2 years and I'm still not seeing progress? Because that's very different. And then no matter what, you need to have a well-designed program. Even if it is a program that, you're not working one-on-one with a coach, there are a ton of great programs. Like I said,
great programming out there.
If you want to try, my app, there's a 7-day free trial link that will take you below. Nell and I are both in there. We have some solid workouts for you guys. And we also have a private group chat in there so you guys can talk about things with us. But your program needs to be designed for you, and it needs to be designed well so that you are able to continually make progress, not just with how much weight you're lifting, not just with how many reps you're lifting that weight for, but your tempo, your control, your form, your tension. And that way it'll also keep you guys engaged and have you feeling really good.
True. Because when we talk about like what metrics you're using too, I think it's important to also look at your history. Yeah. Right. For me, I know we're wrapping this up pretty quick here so you guys can get on with your day, but I've had reconstructive surgery on my arms. So I want jacked and stacked biceps, right? That's a goal that I want, but I have to be realistic in that timeline, because there was a point in my life where I couldn't even pick up a fork. Yeah. So I can't compare my biceps to even Rusty's here, because we haven't had the same history. And so when you're looking at your timeline and your metrics for seeing progress, also think about your history.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember, this journey is your journey, which means everything has to be about you, not what somebody else is doing, not what somebody else's timeline looks like.
Be a little selfish. It's about you. Okay. Yeah. You're worth that.
Yeah. Is your plan about you? Is it designed for you? Is it supporting your goals?
Does it work for you?
Your life. Exactly. 5 reasons why you are likely not making progress. A training edition. If you guys have questions or comments, feel free to drop them below. We would absolutely appreciate it if you would leave us a 5-star review, bitch. And then in the meantime, if you guys want to connect with us on social media, you can find me at coach.frizzle. And Nell, you are at
coach.alana.nell.
And that's where you can reach us, baby. Until next week, you guys, we hope you have a phenomenal day. Keep making that progress. Don't keep showing up without putting in the work.
Put in the work, baby, because you're worth it. We'll see you guys next time.
See you later.